Hi, everyone. Welcome to the WinUI Community Call. I am your host, Azam Olama. It's November 5th, 2025, and I think we are all good to go. Excited to be here for you today and share what's going on. And so without further ado, I'll kick things off. Hey, Martin. Good to see you. Welcome. Yes, the hat is iconic here for me, so it's fun to be back on the call. Here's our agenda today. We're going to talk about GitHub issues, the road to open source, which I know is a lot of you have been following, or if it's new to you, then you'll get the latest status here. We'll be talking about some new features in development. I'll be talking and sharing some information on the community toolkit as well. and we'll end talking about .NET Conf 2025, and of course with Q&A. So if you have questions, be sure to start posting them in the chat. If they come up during any of the demos, if you have questions about what's going on there, we can answer them after. And if we don't get to your question today, we can follow up on GitHub. So we try to host the calls quarterly. We obviously missed the one before build, so there's a lot going on there, but we're glad to be back. We hope to have another one in January. We're still figuring out the date for that. It'll probably be related to an upcoming release timing there to give an update and status on that. I've talked about the questions already, and be sure to reach out on GitHub if you are looking to engage with the community. All right, so of course, if you're new to WinUI, I like to have this slide just to welcome any new community members. Appreciate you jumping on and coming to learn more about the framework. It's the native UI platform powering Windows 10 and 11, offers the latest Fluent design styling we built for C++ and .NET. It's powered by the Windows App SDK, which provides a unified set of APIs and tools for developing Windows applications. And yeah, here we are. It powers a lot of great apps that you probably use on a daily basis. And so with that, without further ado, I will jump over to Beth, who's going to share some information about what's going on GitHub. Welcome, Beth.
Hey, I see some new friends, old friends in the chat. This is my first time being in this community call. I'm mostly just going to update you guys on some of the GitHub-related project status. And then I'll hand over to our feature team. So first of all the bugs that got fixed in 1.8 about 2 months ago. Special shout out to a community member who helped us contribute to one of the issues that got merged in 1.8 as well. If you've been following us on GitHub, you might know that we're opening up for later in phase 3 that people can get real credit in merging in their PRs as well. We know that this is not everything that you've asked for, but please be patient because big ship turns slowly, that there's prioritizations and other things that we need to work on as well as a part of Microsoft's business goals. Next. So let's also talk about the road to open sourcing. First of all, the reason that we wanted to open source WinUI repo is we wanted to enable real community collaboration. We've heard you giving a lot of feedbacks on sometimes it's moving a little slowly on either bug triaging or responding to the issues that our community members have brought up to us. So we hope this is going to be a forcing function to eventually giving GitHub the center of gravity so that everything happens there versus having 2 copies of our internal repo where most of the discussions are actually happening. So then, for the reasons of community collaboration, increased transparency, and also have more innovative ideas coming from the community, that's why we wanted to truly open source WinUI versus just source open. Regarding the progress, if you've been following us on GitHub, there is a thread about 4 different phases. We've done with the first phase already for repo illumination, which means that right now every check-in or more frequent check-in happens in our internal repo that got mirrored onto the external one. Like Morten said, if you are more curious on each one of these mirroring changes, feel free to follow the WinUI 3 main branch on GitHub. And then right now we are working actively on phase 2 for locally buildable WinUI 3 source. We are targeting end of November for this phase to be completed. We're actively working on, we're trying to figure out how to enable external contributors, setting up new machines to test this out, and also adding documentations and instructions for people who are interested in doing this on their own. If this slips, it could be early December, but we don't expect it to be further out. The last two phases, which are testing and contributing, like I said, if you're interested in fixing your own bugs or contributing to any third-party controls, I know there are some popular ones out there already today. That's encouraged as well later on. We're currently targeting the contribution timeline to be February. And then there are a lot of things that we need to tighten up, such as updating all the CI/CD and making sure everything happens at the right place. So currently, there's no set date for the GitHub to be the center of gravity right now, but that's something that we are actively looking at as well. So stay tuned. Lastly, I'm sure that everyone are already familiar with all the benefits for why we're doing this. This is one of the highly requested things that the community has brought up to us. So we want you to be able to inspect the source, actually debugging on your own, and even contributing fixes if you're interested and encouraged. We'll give credit where credit's due, obviously, in the future. And we want a fast resolution for things that people care about the most, especially for our third-party external contributors. And last but not least, we really wanted to increase transparency and stay connected with our external communities, you guys, and help us influence our engineering cycle in the future and to prioritize things accordingly to where everybody wants. That's me.
Thanks, Beth. It's great to get the update on everything going on GitHub. And so with that now, we're going to move on to some new features that are getting worked on for 2.0 and find out what's going on. So first we have Godly. So let me bring you up here to introduce yourself and talking about system backdrop support. Welcome to the call.
Hey, thanks, Aman. Welcome, everyone. So I'm Godly. I'm a developer in the WinUI team. So me, along with my some of the folks in the WinUI team, we are going to talk about some of the new features that are coming in WinUI 2.0 release. So starting with the system backdrop host control that we are developing. So as we all know, there was a major limitation in WinUI 3 with the desktop acrylic as we move to the lifted compositor. So as of now, only the Windows and flyouts are supporting the desktop acrylic. So with that, there is a major limitation to apply a acrylic backdrop just to the some area of the visual tree. So with this control, we are trying to bridge that gap where it allows you to put a backdrop on a specific area of the visual tree. So I'll get into the live demo. Yeah, so I have a WinUI application here with a grid with the hello world text. So this is my grid. So here I want to put a click backdrop. So what I have to do is go into the code. So here is my grid. I have a 500 height, 500 width grid with the borders. And if I have to add the backdrop, I just have to add a system backdrop host in that particular grid. So here I will uncomment this thing. Yep. So now if I add this thing, now the backdrop have come automatically. So if I move to the screen, yeah, you can see the backdrop is there. Yeah, so it's as simple as that to just add the system backdrop host control and apply whatever desktop acrylic or mica or any system backdrops subclass we will be supporting in the system backdrop property. And that will be appearing on the whatever container that is being put. Yeah, so coming back to the slide. Yeah, so as I explained, adding the backdrop is simple as just adding a system backdrop host control into the grid, and you can achieve like this is especially required in the scenarios where you want to animate a grid and show the backdrop to the in that grid. So the API spec as well we have published in the WinUI repo. Please go and put your comments or feedbacks, and we are open to your suggestions. Yeah, that's all from me. I will hand over to my colleague Sabrishan to talk with Dragon. Thank you.
Thanks, Golly. Appreciate the update.
Hello.
Welcome, Servicen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You need to be sharing your screen so that we'll be ready.
Sure. Maybe we can go to the next slide and we'll explain a bit about the problem, and then I can start with the demo so
Sure.
that it would be giving a story about it.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. I'm Sabrisan, part of the WinUI dev team. I will be covering the updates we have made to drag and drop support in WebView 2. Let me start with the problem. Right now, dragging content from a WebView 2 surface to other parts of WinUI or desktop isn't working reliably. When users try to drag something like text out of WebView 2, the mouse or pointer often becomes unresponsive and the drag just fails. We have also run into some gaps when transferring data. For example, trying to pass file or media handle through request doesn't work smoothly in WinUI 3. That makes it really difficult to build real world scenarios where users need to move files, text, or URLs between embedded web content and native parts of the app. So here is how we are solving it. We are taking advantage of the new core WebView 2 APIs that handle the drag initiation, and the data transfer is handled in WinUI 3. These APIs let us support dragging and dropping text, images, and files seamlessly between the web and native sites of the app. We are also standardizing how the data has been packaged and how events are handled during drag operations. That means even larger or multi-item drags will be consistent, reliable, and perform well. Now let's get into the demo part. Sh- Uh, sure. So here we have a WebView 2 example. So this code currently doesn't have the changes that we have made. Let me demonstrate the problem that we face, and then we'll see what we have made and what all the functionalities that it will support. So the app is currently building with the old changes. We'll go through that first. So here we have a WebView 2 sample, and when we try to drag things out of it, it won't be working as expected. So what we are expected to do is now we will be upgrading the drag and drop feature. So the new APIs will be incorporated into the project, and the WebView 2 is expected to work with all the drag features that we have now. So currently the app is building with the latest changes, and here we have, and when we try to drag the text, it is working as expected. And not just text, we can also drag something like a URL or something like a messages. And also, as I have mentioned in the demo part, even multi drag is expected to work in this case. So this works seamlessly with the thing. So in short, so we have fixed all the gaps in the drag and drop to make it more seamlessly and more reliable. So that's all about the demo. Yeah, thank you. So now regarding the code part, we are expecting it to work out of the box without any changes. So we will be like the user doesn't need to make any much of a changes. It will be working once they are getting with the new core WebView 2 APIs in the packages. So as you can see, this is like the direct WebView 2 example, and the drag and drop will be working straightforward.
Great. Thanks so much, Reeson. It was really awesome to see the work you folks have been doing, and there's some excitement in chat there about this ability to drag and drop in WebView. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and next we have Harshit, who's going to talk about the split context menu. Welcome.
Hey, hi, Samalama. Thank you for that little cue.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah,
Welcome.
let's get on with this demo then. Okay, hey, hi everyone. It is Harshit here, and I'll be showcasing the new control that we have been working on. Right, let's first try to understand what we are trying to bring onto the table. The existing menu flyout items don't really allow for splitting of actions. This often leads to cluttered menus, and sometimes due to availability of lot of options and messy menu items, it leads to poor discoverability in the menu items. Now with this new control, we are trying to offer developers the ability to have a more contemporary, organized, or even context aware menus that are capable of splitting actions and hence grouping of contents with advanced surfacing options. With that context, let's actually hop on to Visual Studio on how to see how to consume this new control. Yeah, okay, as with the previous menu flyout, we can use split menu flyout with a simple flyout item. For that, let's create a button. Let's give it a simple content of open flyout, and let's style it. Let's style it nicely with our accent button style. Cool. We have our accent button style, and we already have some visual cues here in forms of text box, so that the app looks a bit appeasing. Yeah. Now with button menu.flyout, this is where we consume this new control, and very similar to the previous flyouts. Oh, we already have a lot of stuff here. Let's actually select the IntelliSense updates. Yes, okay, we have it here. Okay, as you can see, there are two different types of content. One is menu flyout sub item, and the other is split menu flyout item. Now this is where we are introducing the new control. The new control is named split menu flyout item. The very subtle but equally important difference here is that instead of having all three actions available here, one of the actions could be brought up. Let me actually keep it a bit more appeasing by adjusting the alignments and the widths. Yep, let's keep it 200. Let's keep the height as 40 just to keep things in place, and let's launch the application. Of course, this application is pre-configured to use the feature-ready WinAppSDK and WinUI 3 binaries. This should take a few seconds, and yeah, these actions right now are, you will not have a visual cue because we have not configured them, and it is all in UI. So we won't likely see that. And as soon as the application launch, I'll be able to showcase what's going on. Okay, let's check. Yeah. So since the application is up, let's go ahead and check where the like how the flyout changes. Now, if you see, this is how the menu flyout currently are. You have to hover over things, and you will see a dedicated panel of menu sub menus where you can see action 1, action 2, action 3. Now, when developers try to, like, developers can now configure action 1 right over here. So this is individually clickable, right? And of course, if the user feels that they don't want the action 1, they can go on to the split menu flyout as it worked with previous menu flyout, and you can select action 2 and action 3. That's been with the consumption demo. Let's actually try to see this with a more realistic demo where we can see this in action. I have this instance already working for me. Here we are trying to emulate the file explorer, right? And as with file explorer, we have kind of different types of files image file and MD file. Now with the old experience, you can see you have open with photos option as a separate menu item, and then you have an open with which will ideally open paint, paint 3D and other options. With the new experience, we have tried to club this together, and you can visually see the difference in the length of the menu item that is present currently. Not just with image, this is the same with MD files and with the folders. It's very difficult to keep the flyouts open, and hence I have enabled this comparison mode where you can actually see how the code files with the new experience and old experience will be. We can club open with editors and yeah, send to phone editors. Like you can have different options here as well, like send to Outlook or send to Teams. Yeah. With code files, you can see the reduction of menu items could be to an extent of 35%. With folders, it could be with to an extent of 38%, and with the rest of the files, the reduction in length of menus is similar, right? Yeah, this has been the on-screen demo. Let's actually switch back to the presentation. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this is how we consume it. This is how, like, this is what I have demonstrated earlier. As for the release, this is planned to be released in WinAppSDK 2.0. This is already present in the experimental 3 API, and we'd love for you to try it out and provide us with your feedback. And yeah, with that, that's been my time, guys. And please stay tuned for a few more exciting updates from Zamalama. Zamalama, over to you.
Thanks, Ashin. I appreciate the demo. It's cool to see all the new controls available to developers that are coming down the pipeline. And with that, I'm going to share some information on the Community Toolkit and what's going on there. For the Windows Community Toolkit, we had our 8.2 release back in April that supported native AOT as well as UWP and .NET. Had a few new features such as the update to Switch Presenter and a new Switch Converter. Help you with organizing your XAML and making it easier to present different things within your application. We added in-app acrylic brush for WinUI 3. We have a couple new experiments in labs. The dependency property generator that Sergio wrote is super helpful if you're doing UI development. Really simplifies that, helps avoid any of the mistakes there with dependency properties. And we have the opacity mask view in our labs environment as well. If you're not familiar with labs, that's where all the new Windows Community Toolkit development happens. So if you're not seeing much activity on the main repo, it's all happening in labs and then moves over to stable from there. And since our last release, we've been working on migrating our documentation. We've also been doing a lot of work in the labs environment. As I've said, we actually have just pushed those packages to NuGet now. So if you're looking to try out some of those experiments, it's even easier. Now you can pull those directly from NuGet and provide feedback on those controls. That's how a lot of what's been in the Windows Community Toolkit has gotten started. It's just experiments, getting a lot of feedback from you folks in the community, and being able to drive that forward into the main line where many people use it. Like if you're using an application built with XAML and WinUI today, your chances are there's something from the toolkit in there. There's been some markdown control improvements. There's some new color analyzers and contrast helper tools, which are really cool to see, as well as updates to the marquee control. And we're also adding wrap panel into WinUI, which is why we're here on the WinUI call. And so I'll be talking more about that here in a second. And then finally, we're going to have a Community Toolkit roundup to talk about not just the Windows Community Toolkit, but the other toolkits as well as part of the Community Toolkit organization at .NET Conf. So that's next week, November 13th at 4:30 Pacific. So be sure to check that out. And if you want to see what's all the latest updates are and what's going on with the new controls that we're working on in the Windows Community Toolkit, you can do that at labs. That's aka.ms/toolkit/labs/windows. And yeah, so I mentioned Wrap Panel. So Wrap Panel is a layout panel that arranges the children controls left to right and then automatically wraps to the next line. So it's great for responsive layouts. This is something that's been in the Windows Community Toolkit for a long time and is now being brought into WinUI. So we have the spec up there, like a few other features we've been talking about today on the call. There's been a discussion about the horizontal and vertical spacing properties that we've been using in the toolkit, whether they should be renamed to item spacing and line spacing. Apparently Avalonia has done this when they brought Wrap Panel to Avalonia. And so yeah, if you have thoughts on this, chime in on the spec. There's been a great discussion there already about this, so we can make any improvements before release. It was actually really interesting as part of this process of writing the spec and pulling everything into WinUI, actually finding bugs in the original toolkit Wrap Panel. So it's been a really interesting process throughout this journey of bringing Wrap Panel into WinUI. So just as a summary of all the new features we've talked about today and the ones that have specifications up on GitHub, they're accepting feedback for this month. System backdrop is until November 14th. Wrap panel and split menu flyout item came a little bit later here and are open until the end of the month. So if you think we've missed a scenario, if something could be named better or work better, I saw Morton had some comments in the chat about the system backdrop host. So be sure to comment on the spec there on GitHub so that the people working on these features can see that input and potentially look at making some improvements before they ship. And then I had mentioned .NET Conf for the Community Toolkit. We're also there for WinUI. There's the modern Windows development with .NET, which we'll be talking about modern Windows desktop development using WinUI, and of course the Windows App SDK. And Roy will be joining me there as well. And that's next week, November 11th on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. So be sure to join us there. And without further ado, we have our Q&A section. So I'm going to bring on Ramya here from the WinUI team to discuss a bit with us a few of the general topics we were seeing discussed before the call on GitHub. And then we'll dive into some live Q&A. Ramya, welcome to the call.
Hello. Good evening, good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Appreciate you having us with us here to answer some questions. So I know there's a lot of questions on GitHub in the pre-discussion about long-term commitment to WinUI and Windows App SDK in terms of stability, priority, those sorts of things. And so I know you wanted to address this while here on the call today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. So firstly, I'm Ramya and I'm part of the WinUI team. This is my first appearance in the community call and I'm really enjoying the energy here. And yeah, we'll try our best to support you folks. And also great to see all the folks excited about the current investments, right? I see the comments there on the acrylic and drag and drop, split context menu. So amazing. Please, we need all your support and great to see the questions coming in. So coming to this question, right? So firstly, to give some context here, so the WinUI feature crew is part of Microsoft's Windows Developer Platform team, and we are kind of committed to remain invested, right, in the WinUI product as such. And specifically, WinUI 3, it's a choice of platform for building native user interfaces for Windows. And one of the key goal in Windows today is we are trying to, or we're kind of working hard and our heads down to ensure the OS feels more modern, coherent, and it's well designed and the experiences are seamless. And it's also about reducing the outdated UI elements. And we also want to improve the perceived quality. And this is going to happen by migrating to the newer frameworks like WinUI 3. Right. And as you can see, right, so WinUI 3 is going to be one of those key enabler in this mission. And we're already on this where we're kind of migrating the legacy or, older surfaces or the surfaces which are running on legacy frameworks to WinUI 3. And for example, right, so open with and Windows error dialogues, they now run on WinUI 3. And there are many more coming up, like widgets. It's on the way. And from the other app standpoint, like Notepad and Paint is already on WinUI 3. Right, so our long-term focus is to kind of enable adoption WinUI 3 extensively in Windows, and this will enable us to pivot towards accelerating our feature development and bug fixes around this. And additionally, as Beth has outlined, the the WinUI 3 repo being being made the OSS put in the OSS category. So it's one of the initiative which has also been worked on, and you've seen it's formalizing. The plan has been shared. So this hopefully will encourage more community contributions and hopefully accelerate the innovation here.
Great, Ramya. And I think on that note too, you're talking about the WinUI investments and the future there. And I think this is kind of a related question that you wanted to answer too, is like the relation to UWP and XAML Islands, WinUI 2, and everything that people might be using today. And so I know you wanted to comment a little bit more about this specific topic as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the most frequently asked questions that we get, and great that this has been asked as such. So fundamentally, both these technologies, right, like WinUI 3, like the UWP and WinUI 3 are kind of different, because UWP is an app model and which predominantly uses WinUI 2 as its framework. And as you all know, WinUI 2 is a user interface. It consists of several libraries, and most of this code lives as part of the core OS. And sorry, I hear someone typing. Okay, all good? Okay. So, well, so WinUI 2 is living is pretty much part of the core OS, and the controls are being very few controls are being shipped as you get package here. And if customers or users have to consume these new controls, they would need to upgrade the OS to the latest version. But on the other hand, WinUI 3 is a single NuGet package, which is kind of uplifted from the OS, and it kind of includes the entire package. It's packaged, like all the controls are packaged as such. And this is kind of decoupled from the OS layer, and it's mostly like released uh, with WinApp SDK and goes out as monthly updates. Right, and more importantly, WinUI 3 is kind of actively supported, right? So so WinUI 3 will help users to build end-to-end app, and it is similar to like how users were building UWP apps, right, in terms of building packaging and deploying structure. It's kind of same, but the app models are different. WinUI 3 is mostly on Win32 app model.
Yeah. No, Rami, I think that's a great summary and good information for people who might be newer to WinUI 3 and not have this context and history about migration and how that works. So
so all of it is covered. So customers who are running UWP apps or XAML Islands, they can still continue to use it. So that's never a lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going away, but that's not where the investments are. Everything's focused on WinUI 3 right now. Perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
I actually have another question that I think is kind of related to some of this, especially your previous answers around the investments in WinUI 3 and the community and GitHub, and that's from Martin about if there's plans to have more discussions, more of these kind of calls or meetings in the open where the community kind of understand a little bit more about what's getting worked on, what decisions are being made, how they're being made, those sorts of things. And so what are your thoughts around that and how the team handles these sorts of things moving forward?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Like, as you all know, like, we are kind of working in a very rapidly evolving times now. Windows as an org and the team is kind of advancing at a very swift pace as such. And we are, in fact, like we really want to plan to publish our feature roadmap, but very much focused to the features that are in scope or which is useful for community as such. Like say for example, the API specs. So they are all right out of press. As the development is getting completed, they are kind of getting out for spec reviews, and thanks Mike, like you've kind of surfaced them. So we want to do more of this, and so the specs are going to roll out as and when they're ready, and as our investments get more and the plans around it gets more concrete around the asks and requirements that community is kind of requesting for. We'll hope to kind of keep that updated as much as possible.
Great, I appreciate that, Ramya. I'm gonna pull some others on here so we can broaden the pool of answers we can provide and go from there. So welcome back, folks. And welcome, Roy, special guest. Roy's from the Windows App SDK team. And
yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I've probably talked to many of you, hopefully, probably. You see me on GitHub, you see me on Discord, I'm everywhere. Hello.
There we go. I'm trying to look for the better view. I think this one's pretty good. Perfect. I don't know. I know Pranav, you were talking about this in chat. I don't know if you just want to answer directly about the WinUI designer and what the team's thoughts are on there. I know that's been a topic that's been discussed over time here.
Thanks, Zamil, for
yeah. And please introduce yourself too, because you're new here to the Q&A section too. So welcome.
Yep. Thank you. Hi everyone. My name is Pranav, and I am an EM in the WinUI team. So we did try and figure out what all is required for XAML Designer, and we have seen a lot of traction for that on the community ask as well. Currently, we are prioritizing a whole lot of items, for example, improving the bug fix rate. So as of now, it's in our roadmap, but we don't have a specific ETA which can be provided for the XAML Designer, since it's a long and complex feature which requires changes both in WinUI, the operating system, Visual Studio, to make sure that all the pieces work together. But there's good amount of investment which had happened in this. So
yeah, I know the team was doing a lot of research to figure out what that would take. So I appreciate the update on and the clarity on the team's focus on bugs, and we saw the list Beth shared for about all the bug fixes that came in 1.8. So hopefully we'll see more as we get towards 2.0 and things accelerate there. That'd be really great. So moving on, we had a question from Morton about, and I think this is for Godly, about the system backdrop host feature. And so it's just kind of an example, I think an alternative syntax suggestion there. And so I know the first thing will be make sure to comment on the spec and carry forward the discussion there afterwards. But Godly, if you have any comments on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Morten, for bringing up that point. So yeah, there were some comments around this in the spec as well. So the main challenge here is the difference between the lifted compositor and the system compositor. So the lifted compositor, which is the underlying layer of WinUI 3, it works in Pro. And so we can't support this acrylic backdrop as a brush because the compositor is working in Pro and it don't get the context of whatever is behind the process. So as a result, we use all these brush-related things and can't support it like a brush in WinUI 3. So in WinUI 3, how we are supporting it is through the content external backdrop link API, which is provided by the compositor. There we get a placement visual, and this visual we have to place in the visual tree to get the backdrop. So if we have to make it supported as a property in the control, we will end up adding a container in each of the control to hold that visual. And if we go ahead and add this container in all the control templates, that will hit our fundamentals very hard. So we didn't want to do that. So and the usage of the acrylic backdrop also is not that too much to justify doing such a thing. So we thought of going with the system backdrop host, which anyone can add to the layer and get the visual effect in the same way. So yeah, that was a plan. So we are open to suggestions. You can post the comments in the API spec.
Great. I appreciate the info there, Godly. It sounds actually very similar to the challenge we had with shadows in the Windows Community Toolkit and some of the work we did there. So, So sometimes these challenges are technical in nature, which drive some of the API surface as well. So, really cool to get some more information about the behind the scenes there. So next we have a question on the split menu context for Hashit. So that was whether it can support 3 or more menus open at once. I'm not 100% sure of the scenario here, so Link, you might need to jump on GitHub and on the spec and provide some extra details there. But if you think you have some more insight into what they might be asking about from working on the feature, please let us know.
Yeah. So if nesting is something that is being asked upon, yes, that is supported. So essentially, very much like menu flyout sub item, you can have menu flyout sub items within them and menu flyout items within them. So a short answer to this question is yes. Now with split menu flyout item, you can have a different split menu flyout item and actions within them and so on. So I think I have answered your question, and if I'm able to understand the question correctly. So yep, that's about it.
Great, thanks. I see a question for me on Wrap Panel from Martin. What led to the decision to port Wrap Panel, and was there a team or app wanting it? I mean, I think from what we've seen a lot of with the Windows Community Toolkit, right? We've built a lot of controls over the years. It's existed for a long time. There's just a lot of things that we know people are using from the toolkit. Wrap Panel is one of them. Settings controls are used a lot. We have like the grid splitters, things like polyfills from WPF. So there's a lot of these controls that we know that a large proportion of applications are using all the time. And with the move for WinUI to be open source that Beth has been driving there, this was also just a part of trying to understand, how hard would it be to take some of these controls from the toolkit and bring them to WinUI. And so this is really just a test from the process standpoint, seeing how things are working, reviewing these things with the broader audience that WinUI brings. So there's a few of these different aspects together to just, and Wrap Panel is one of the simpler things in the community toolkit, though, as I discussed earlier, as we were bringing things in and writing out the specs, we're finding bugs even in the toolkit control, which has been relatively stable for a while. And so it's just been a learning experience as part of this process. That's been the biggest thing. So great question. Really appreciate that. And so with that, I'll move on to a question for Beth about open sourcing, because that seems related, also from Martin. And that's when will WinUI be fully open sourced? Who decides, which community asks or contributions get added or consumed?
I think the easiest way to follow the progress is the discussion that we put on there. I try to update the progress as each phase gets completed. Like I said, phase 2 is target to be completed in late November. We're currently looking at around May timeframe for everything to be done. But that depends on some of the resourcing that we're gonna have discussions for here shortly this month and next month as well. And then who decides which community asks and contributions gets edited and consumed? There's going to be documentations on how contributions are evaluated. We're actively working on that right now. I think there are others who's been asking this as well. We're trying to open this up to be more of a collaboration between Microsoft and external to build the ecosystem to have, kind of like if we have community members who wants to build controls on top of what actually already is, that's totally supported. But if you want to contribute back to the main repo, there's going to be steps and quality controls on how we're accepting those back. Hope that answers your question. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Beth. Appreciate the info there. Great, and maybe Roy can kick this off as the start of the question about the Windows App SDK has the 2.0 major version release hearing, so maybe you can provide a little bit more details for the audience about, what's happening here if they're not familiar, if this is new news to folks, what's prompting this, and then maybe someone from the WinUI team can pick that up after your introduction to comment on anything else that's happening in this space with this change.
Yeah, definitely. The one big thing I do want to call out to everyone here on the call is keep an eye out on our discussions. We're actually going to put together a full write-up of all the things that we're planning on including into that 2.0. The idea is, yes, 2.0 is allowing us to introduce some new breaking changes to the product. We're opening that up so that we can make sure that we're able to make the changes that are needed to clean up that might be getting, causing you guys some problems or even just having some cumbersomeness to it. So we're doing that full investigation. We're making sure that we have everything we need, and we're trying to make sure we get everything into it. It's a long-winded answer to say, yes, we have a breaking change coming. The contents of that change will be posted on our GitHub repo fairly soon. So keep an eye out there for that full write-up.
Great. Pranav, Ramya, anything you want to kind of add from the WinUI specific side?
No, this is great. I think a lot of energy once again and great questions. Guys, look forward to your feedback on the API spec submitted. Thanks to Mike, he's also given the list of dates, so that we get enough feedback and incorporate those changes there. And it's not just this, more coming up your way towards early next year. So yeah, stay tuned.
Great. There's been lots of questions. I know some folks are talking about specific bugs. So if there's something that you've noticed, like search GitHub, look if there's an existing issue about that. If not, then please file an issue. Make sure to include detailed repro steps, like what operating system you're on, what version of the WinUI and the Windows App SDK you're using, and if possible, it's really helpful to have just like a file new project with the minimal amount of code it takes to reproduce the issue. It can take a long time if you're trying to provide your own whole project and a whole bunch of code to if you just scope it down, do exactly the minimal amount needed to reproduce an issue, it really helps the team be able to just pick that up and quickly look at an issue. Great, thanks. Broken Sigma said you've included a repro. That's awesome. So hopefully we can make sure that that gets triaged, and the team's doing that every week, and we can make sure that gets looked at in the future. Great. I don't know if we have the right people on the call, but maybe someone can jump in and talk about it. I know it's kind of been something that's talked about in the moment, so we'll have this be our last question. I'm hoping we'll have some insights. I don't think it's anything that's being currently planned, but I know it's something that's an interesting area of discussion. That's from Martin about SGV files and whether there's been any thought about being able to have them be static and unchangeable or themable, and if there's any thoughts on this space. I know in the past there's been Lottie and some other alternatives looked at this with animated icons, but yeah, I just thought it was an interesting kind of more design focused question. But I don't think there's any work, but I figured I'd ask, and while we have the experts, if there's any thoughts in this space that have occurred. I guess that's a no. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I mean, real quick, the other thing that you can help us with these issues is search through the history and then give it a thumb up or thumbs down to help us prioritize as well.
Yeah, that's a great question.
We look at the ones that gets voted up more.
Yeah, and I think that's a good kind of like thing to call out, right? Like there's a lot of different features like this that get asked, and obviously we can't get everything at once. Like we saw the list there with 1.8, there's a lot of things fixed, and there's a lot of questions about other bugs and specific issues, but there's a lot of different areas of improvement. And so the best way is, yeah, to thumb up issues, and it's easy for us to look at GitHub and sort by those thumbed up issues, and so that really really helps. And cool. I don't think we have another question that we can pull up here that we have to. Let's see. Oh, that was just. Actually, I'll just end with this one, Beth, because this is, I think, something you commented on from Morton. Just clarification about the building of WinUI and the open source.
Yeah, so that's currently slotted for end of November. We do plan to reach out to some of our MVPs to help us validate these steps. And because the project is complicated, there's just a lot of testing that we need to do before to make sure, that it takes the right amount of time, it gives you the right output. The errors are verbose, things that needs to be emitted are emitted, things that needs to actually be expressed are out there. So that's all in progress, and we have plans to reach out to our MVPs and people under NDA to help do this ahead of time as well. I think I already told Morton. Morton was saying that I know how to contact him. Yes, so we'll call up a meeting for this at some point.
Yeah, no, it's it's really cool to see progress being made and hear about it. And I know there's a lot of work going to make this happen. But yeah, there's a lot of different moving pieces, and it's slowly going to come together. But it's going to be exciting to see this come together in the next bit here. Great. So I apologize if we didn't have a chance to or missed your question today, but the best way to reach out to the team is to reach out on GitHub. We'll go through and try to summarize any of the responses here on further discussion on GitHub. And appreciate everyone joining me here today to share their inputs and insights and everything. And if you haven't already been aware, we do a survey at the end of the call. And so let me pull that up here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And it's been great to have you all here presenting. And so, yeah, as let us know how we're doing. Please follow this survey link here. I'll post that in the chat, and you can basically let us know what you liked about the call, what you want to find out more about in the future. Just give us feedback so we can know what to present here in the future and keep these things going. So thank you again for joining us today, and we'll see you again in the future. Take care, everyone.